Hi, and welcome to the SharpRank Pro interview series. Each week, we will highlight a Sharp listed on our site and cover topics at the intersection of sports and gambling. Enjoy. Today, we welcome Kegan Reneau, managing editor of the Sooners Wire. Let's go.
Kick it off. Give us a really tall building elevator pitch of how you got to where you are.
It's been a wild ride, let's say.
Yeah.
So I blogged for a couple years, and then I got hired by a radio station here in Oklahoma City. And then from there, covered the basketball football team for a year, and then went to a student newspaper at OU, and then kind of trickled away from there, and then got this gig with USA Today. They just kind of reached out to me, and it's been really fun over the last year or so.
Let's get into the matchup, what everybody came here to see. Before we do you think Lincoln Riley saying, if Ryan Day called me, we would play Ohio State, is kind of a cop-out? And the follow-up is, does Lincoln Riley's phone only receive incoming calls?
Okay, so that was a hot topic, right? Hot buzz topic about a week ago. I mean, I guess my perspective on that is, what else is he supposed to say? If you got, you're going to get a big game with Oklahoma at the end of the year, it looks like. Florida,
Yep.
Whether it's A&M, Georgia, OU's playing someone that's going to be pretty good. So I think we're going to see a pretty good game.
All right, fair enough. So, all right, so plain and simple, does a 2-loss Oklahoma team that kills Iowa State sneak into the playoff? Any chance?
No, I don't see it.
Because of the rankings that came out and what that indicates?
I don't know if it's just the rankings. I mean, just think about it. Like, are they really going to put – so, I mean, if what's going to happen, you have to take it in that perspective. Clemson beats Notre Dame. Those two are in. Then you have Alabama is in. So there's 3. And then you either have A&M or Ohio State there. And I don't see OU jumping either of them. So there you go. Yeah. I mean, that's really kind of what it is. I think if you want to get weird – but, like, Florida being ranked where they are, right? Like, Florida beats Alabama now. Florida can get in. There's a way they can get in. It's like, okay, well, you have a better win than A&M does, even though A&M beat you. You beat Alabama. You won the conference. You beat Georgia. You got beat by a terrible LSU team. I mean, that is a horrendous loss. People need to remember that. Like, Dan Holmes, so obviously it's a joke. You found this out that it's a joke of me and the Florida thing. Because I was the first one publicly to start talking up Florida in the offseason. So that's the whole joke of it. But Oklahoma is a 2-loss. No, I mean, just to wrap that up. I mean, I guess in theory Iowa State could. If Iowa State beats the crap out of Oklahoma, which is, I don't see a pathway to that happening. But we'll see.
We'll see. Who knows? But I find that very, very difficult to believe. But who knows? All right. So give us a position group on either side of the ball that has the biggest advantage against their opposing counterpart.
Well, I mean, you guys see me talk about it all the time. It's just Oklahoma's defensive line.
Ronnie Perkins, your man.
Well, it's Perkins and Benito. I think I've hyped up Benito more than Perkins. So,
yeah.
I mean, and then you add in Isaiah Thomas and Perrion Winfrey. I mean, they're really, really, really good up front. They have 4 NFL guys. Oklahoma hasn't had 4 true NFL players along the defensive line. I mean, you have to go back to the early 2000s. So, I mean, it's a testament to what Alex Grinch and that coaching staff has done defensively. And I think that that just is so much of an overwhelmingly edge there for Oklahoma that you know that. And then but at the same time too, the hardest part is that if you want to go pick the other side of the ball, Iowa State's defense is playing a lot better than Oklahoma's offense is as of late. Mm-hmm. So it kind of goes into stuff I was talking about earlier with Oklahoma not having like the best offense they've ever had, right? Like they are far from it at this point, which is crazy. They're still really good, like top 5, top 10 offense in college football. But from where they were at with Kyler Murray averaging almost a first down a play, to where they're at right now is at a completely different level. So
it's such a framing bias too. Just having watched Oklahoma and being able to truthfully say.
Well, I mean, you have to think about this in theory though. Like people that cover Oklahoma, like your idea of good quarterback play, good offensive line play, good wide receiver play, and good running back play, and good tight end play is all skewed because you've seen the best of the best.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Is the rest of the country just can't fully understand that what we're seeing is not optimum offense from Oklahoma, and it's still, like you're saying, a top 5, top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's incredible, and it's a total hat tip to Lincoln Riley and how he's run that program and all the way up from recruiting. So I think that guy is just incredible. So is that the matchup you're watching? Is that the matchup that decides this game? The Oklahoma defensive front against the Iowa State offensive line, and who dominates what there, or is there?
Well, I think just Iowa State's going to have to keep Brock Purdy clean.
Yep.
10 times. That's going to be a big challenge. So if they can accomplish that, then they've got a good chance to do whatever they want to do on Saturday. But we'll definitely see kind of how things pan out. In that game specifically, obviously Nick Bonito was out in the last game. I think he's playing in this game, so he's a big X factor game changer. So, but we'll see kind of how everything unfolds in this one.
Yeah, that's a great addition and takes the pressure off some of the other side. All right, let's talk gambling. Line currently, as you called it, moved up from 4.5 to around 5.5. Says seeing at 6 at some sports books, and the total hasn't moved much. The total's sitting at 58.5. That
sounds right.
It sounds right. So what of those what do you like?
I like Oklahoma against the line in this one. I think if you do it by points, right? Like 6 is kind of okay, but most games are won by 7, mostly by touchdown. Like I think Oklahoma's about 2 possessions better than Iowa State right now. So with that in mind, like I like Oklahoma anything under 10, I think would have pretty good value. I thought we obviously didn't pick them right last week, the OU Baylor game, but one of my picks this year before the season, my prediction was that Oklahoma was going to have their best year against the spread than they've had in 3 or 4 years. Well, if you go back and look at it, Oklahoma has been terrible against the spread the last 3-4 years. They won so many close games. Like that's horrible for the sports betting community to be on Oklahoma's back. Like Oklahoma unless
you're an over guy. Unless you're
an over, sure. But if you're against the spread, if you were on top of, if you were taking the edge with Oklahoma, you got smacked. So the total's at 58.5. So it's something like 31. They're expecting 31, 32, 28, 33, 28. Somewhere in there.
Yep.
I mean, I even think that could be too many for Iowa State. Like, I think Iowa State getting to 20 points. If Iowa State gets to 20 points, the over is going to hit. So that would be kind of my theory. But I don't know. It's a weird game because Iowa State was playing so well heading into this one, and Oklahoma, the last time we saw them play was against Baylor, and they didn't. Like, they did not play well at all. So it's weird. But what you know about this game is that Oklahoma's pass rush is going to be really good. And if Iowa State and Oklahoma is going to be able to score 28 points, like that, they're good enough they were good enough to score 4 touchdowns on Iowa State's defense. So we know that, and it's the way they played against Oklahoma State's defense, I think should give people some confidence in that. And that's why, like, I think Oklahoma, like 30-21, somewhere in there sounds right. Like 31-21, somewhere in there sounds right.
So it sounds like in your head, in your analysis, you've kind of set a ceiling on that line at about 10, which is, like you're saying, 2 possessions better than Iowa State. is that your ceiling on the spread? Would you go higher than that? Is there anything that would make you jump it?
Well, if Oklahoma can run the football, if
Yep.
Oklahoma can run the football on Saturday, Oklahoma can win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
I think that's obviously going to be a huge starting point. And you look to the end of the third quarter, beginning fourth quarter of that first game. If you go back and watch it, Oklahoma started running the football well against Iowa State, which is tough to do whenever you start getting to the X's and O's, what Iowa State does defensively. It's something that's really tough to do. So I think Oklahoma has a chance to be a team that whenever you talk about them running the football, it just adds a different element because the play action pass with Spencer Rattler, who's really good outside the pocket, and then you just kind of add everything together. I think they could win by 2-3 touchdowns if Oklahoma can run the football, which is a major question mark because they haven't been able to do it consistently all year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And on the other side of it, to your point about not seeing the over as the play here, is the other side of it. The clock ticks on that with that running back. You know,
Breece Hall.
Yeah,
man,
he is good.
He's got a ton of value. He's going to be like at the NFL level. I don't know if he's like as good a value as what David Montgomery is with the Bears in terms of just being able to catch the ball in the backfield. But in terms of making guys miss, Breece Hall's unbelievable. One of the best.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's everything I was thinking and hoping Chuba Hubbard would be this year.
Well, that's what Chuba Hubbard was a year ago.
Yeah. So he's tremendous, and it'll be interesting to see if Iowa State kind of chooses to run at that Oklahoma front to take the teeth out of that pass defense. See, I got to think, because Brock Purdy's an athlete, but he's not outrunning. He's not outrunning your defensive front in a scramble drill.
Nick Bonito is going to have a chance to have a big day on Saturday. I think that this is a game where people kind of start talking about him as well as Ronnie Perkins. That would be my theory heading into this one.
Where do you see them both going in the drafts?
Perkins right now would probably be a late second, early third. Bonito would probably be a middle third, late third, somewhere in there. I think both those guys could return. I think Bonito will. Perkins, on the other hand, if Perkins plays well in this game, and then the next game he plays well again, that's a guy that could rise in the mid-second round. If he does that, I don't know how you turn down that kind of money. I don't. It makes no sense. If you're playing football for free, why would you turn down that millions of dollars to be able to keep playing in college? It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Is there any franchise that you would say no to as a college athlete? You go to the draft, you're sitting there.
The Jets would be very interesting right now. If I was in Trevor Lawrence's shoes, right? Would you not?
You'd have some Vietnam style breaking of fingers to get out of the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We've been covering that for a while, and just, and this is slightly off topic, but Adam Gase is like, he is playing to lose. Like he knows.
No, absolutely.
At the end
no doubt.
And it's obvious. Like he's not even trying to hide it. He sent. You can say all you want that Greg Williams was the one who sent that blitz. I know for a fact that Adam Gase was in his ear going, "Send the house, send it." So, all right. Anything else this weekend that you like better than Oklahoma at less than 10? Is there anything else on the board that you're looking at that you think?
Oklahoma would be one of my favorites. I think the other one is Ohio State Northwestern. See, another thing is, as you'll see, that I think has been it's kind of a rookie strategy from this perspective, but I think betting favorites against the spread is probably a better idea for you in a year like this, because teams that are typically favored as much as what Ohio State would be or this or that have recruited better, so they have more depth, more than likely. I think taking programs with great culture, like in terms of that if they overperform where they've been recruiting as a program, I think are really smart as well. So Ohio State, Northwestern.
You
Ohio
got
State
you got 20.5, minus 20.5, and over.
under 21 has good value. Ohio State against Northwestern, they're
Yep.
three in terms of talent. They are 3 touchdowns better than Northwestern at least.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I would push that number for me is probably closer to 24.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
OSU is good. And they I think
It's weird to hear you call them OSU.
I know we're not down in Oklahoma, but yeah, and I think Ohio State still has a chip on their shoulder and still feels like they need style points, even though they might not. I see this as them really pouring it on and reminding Northwestern, hey, you're still Northwestern and we're still Ohio.
Yeah, Northwestern, I don't really care. Nobody in the Big Ten is very good this year besides Ohio State. So Justin Fields is an animal.
Yeah, I was so it was so tough to see him leave Georgia after seeing the quarterback debacle that happened there this past year.
Well, thanks to Oklahoma. If you think Oklahoma, Jake Fromm goes for a career day in the Rose Bowl and makes him the starting quarterback for the next 2 years.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it seems like they found something in JT Daniels, but that program's just.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Missouri's not very good.
That's exactly right. We will see. Okay, last one here. Give me your 4 teams in the playoffs.
Oh, it'll be Ohio State, Notre Dame, Clemson, Alabama. It's simple. Make it easy. I think Alabama, Notre Dame would be your 1-4, and then Clemson, Ohio State, your 2-3 in a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
I would take Clemson and I would take Bama, but I would take Bama not against the spread though. That would be. Okay. I think that number would come out above 10. I think, like I said, I think Notre Dame is a lot better than what people give them credit for. I think they have an advantage in the trenches, which is what usually happens. Like if you go to the 2018 Oklahoma-Alabama game, Oklahoma's front was pretty good up front. Like they were going to be able to score some points. And if Oklahoma was going to score, they were going to be able to keep it within 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Alabama's defense is good as what everybody's touting it to be. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being an anti-SEC guy. However, I do think I kind of know what I'm talking about. So we'll see how it all plays out. Except
for Florida, for everyone out there listening, except for
Florida. I've got Florida covering 17 this weekend.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
South is unguardable. I told you. I said this.
Yeah. No, he is a monster. There is going to be a very lucky team who runs into him. He reminds me a lot of Darren Waller at the next level. I mean, he's just like, he is physically gifted. He can run routes and he uses his body incredibly well. I mean,
yeah. I don't know if there's like a really, really good comp out there, but I mean, he could have like a Vernon Davis kind of career in the NFL, 14, 15 years, catches a bunch of touchdowns in the red zone.
Yep.
Kind of looks like a basketball player, but yeah, he's really good.
He's a threat for sure. All right, cool. Well, hey, throw out any handles for people to follow you.
At Kegan Reneau, that's KeganReneau. And then the website, SoonersWire.com, powered by USA Today Sports.